Welcome back to another card making video, and today I'm sharing lots of ideas on how you can use your embossing folders. Now, as a demonstration, I'm going to use an embossing folder from the new Craft Your Life kit by Altenew. This is a new kit that you can get. All the products come in one package. You will get a big stamp set full of flowers and many sentiments that you can play with. There is a matching die set included in the kit that will allow you to cut out not only sentiments, but also it gives you a big outline to cut out the big flower design. The kit also comes with matching stencils, so there are 3 of them included in the set, and you can layer one on top of the other to quickly color the flower composition. And finally, here is the product that I'm going to work with today as an example. This is the lovely design that you get on the embossing folder, on the stencils, on the stamp set and the matching dies. One of the most common ways to use an embossing folder is to just grab an ink pad and go over the design. I'm working with white pigment ink and I'm going over the side of the folder that has raised all that lovely design. And since I'm working with white pigment ink, then it is a good idea to use a dark colored cardstock so that I can get the best results, since the white is going to stand out nicely against the dark background. On this example, the design is debossed. Another way to do it is if you apply the ink on the other flap of the embossing folder. This way you will end up with the white detail on the background and your design is going to be embossed. Let's move on another example. I'm going to create many backgrounds with this embossing folder and then I'm going to turn them into cards. So this time I'm working with navy blue and I'm just going to run it through my embossing folder. This is completely clean. I haven't used any ink here. And on this example I'm going to work on the embossed design, getting a similar design as the first one, but through a completely different technique. So I'm going to bring in again my pigment ink, and this time I'm going to apply the ink directly on top of the design. I'm going to use my most trusted tool here, which is my finger. I like to do this technique with my finger, since I can feel better exactly where I'm applying the ink. I'm going over the mountains of the design and it grabs the white ink, creates highlights and brings the design to life. Another way to do it, if you don't want to mess with your fingers, is to just use a blending brush. And of course you can get completely different looks if you start with white cardstock and apply colored ink on top of it. So just think of all the different color combinations that you can get just by using one embossing folder. Now I also went ahead and embossed this design on black cardstock, on foil cardstock, and in this example I used silver one, and on specialty cardstock such as the silver or the golden one you don't really need to do anything. That shine is going to help the design come to life. So if you want to mass produce cards using an embossing folder, then this is the way to go. And finally I did emboss the design on Craft Core cardstock. This is cardstock that I had for ages by Holtz that can help the design come to life. And let's take a quick look on all the backgrounds that I created using the embossing folder. I do have the 2 first ones with the ink that I don't really need to do anything on top, but I do want to work on this Craft Core one, and for that I'm just going to use a sanding block and I will go over the design. Very lightly I will go over again and again until I scratch off the mountains, which is going to help the design come to life. You can do it as much as you like or as little as you like. It is going to give you a lovely distressed look and it is great as a masculine card. So here is the finished look, and I'm also going to show you at the end photos of all these backgrounds and how I turn them into cards. Another way to bring that design to life instead of using ink is to use waxes. If you have any of those waxes, you can go over the design with your finger. It's going to give a lovely shine, and especially if you work on top of black cardstock, you will not believe the results. It is absolutely stunning. Now another way, if you don't have waxes, is to use Nuvo Mousse. If you have that, works just fine. Again, just like with everything, you can apply as much of that wax as you like. You can just go lightly over the areas for a more subtle look, or you can oversaturate it, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. And here is the finished look of this background. Want to see how these backgrounds look as a card? On all these cards I just used sentiments from the same kit and kept everything quite simple. I just stuck the panel on top of a card base and added a few gems here and there on some of the cards to enhance them. Notice that all these cards, although they were made with the same 3D embossing folder, they do have actually the same design. They are completely different, they have completely different styles, and I absolutely love that with embossing folders, since you can really make the most out of them. And since you stayed all the way until the end, I do have a bonus card for you. Since I do have the kit and I do have the same design as a stamp set, all I'm going to do is to stamp it. And then of course you can go ahead and use your favorite coloring medium or the matching stencils to add color. I'm going with a matching stencil since I absolutely love how quick and easily it helps you coloring a big image. So here I'm using my Distress Oxide inks and my blending tools, applying color in different areas and using all three of the stencils. I do use a piece of masking tape to cover up some areas so that I don't go over them with my blending tool. You don't really need to do that if you are quite careful. I am just doing coloring very quickly all the time and I am prone to making a mess. So you can see here for the sunflowers I am mixing a yellow ink and then at the base I'm mixing a little bit of orange. Then for the tulips I'm going with 2 shades of pink, going over the tulips first with a lighter one and then I'm going to add some shadow with the darkest. And notice that I don't have 2 blending tools for this job, I do have 1 blending tool for pinks and I always start with the lightest and go over to the darkest. I'm also using my fine tip blending tool for the daisies to add a little bit of yellow at the center of the daisies. Here I move to the second stencil, it has the rest of the petals for my sunflowers, again going with the same colors, but you can mix and match them if you like. And finally here I move to the third and last stencil, this time I'm going with my greens. Again here I'm using 2 shades of green, just to add some shadow so that nothing looks super flat at the end. I did add the center of my sunflowers with brown and here is what you get. You can use this as a panel as it is or you can use the matching dies to cut it out. This way you will end up with a lovely layer that you can pop on top of your card base. All I did for this bonus card was to stick this panel on top of a card base and added some gems and a cutout sentiment from the same set. So these were all the cards for today, where I used my embossing folder to show you many different ways to come up with cards and a bonus card where I used the same design as the embossing folder. I hope that you had fun today, that you got inspired. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below in the description area as well as to like the video. This is actually part of a blog hop, make sure to visit my blog to find the details on how you can enter the giveaways. Thank you all so much for joining me today and I'll see you all next time.